had a chance to review the film and everything, what impressed you the most about your team's effort in those 4 quarters?
I thought we were, the second week in a row that we really haven't got penalized. We had one penalty, 15 yards, and I thought that was a questionable call. But I think the discipline, and the decision making of, not setting ourselves back on offense with holding penalties or just any penalty. Really defensively, I think we've been making good decisions on the sideline and on the quarterback and those type of things. And so I think the discipline, we can see that the fundamentals and techniques that we practice are carrying over to the game. I think that's always important.
And one thing that was clear was your teams have a lot of fun in that game. We saw Gilliam score. Everybody on the sideline wanted to congratulate him. The guys who played 3 quarters around, but they were as fired up as they were the whole game. Do you get the sense that the guys are appreciating those kind of moments more because of what this team's been through this year?
Yeah, I think whether it's what we've been through or just to see someone who practices hard every day have some success. I think you see people who don't get a chance to play that often, they're able to have some success. I think everyone gets fired up about that, so, and because each and every day these guys come to work and whether they're on the scout team or whether they play whatever role they play, it's nice to see the team get excited for one another. And, because that's what we kind of preach is we're all in this together and all 3 phases of the game. And, it was just nice to be able to see some guys get in and have a chance to play in the game.
Coach, on the penalties note, I believe this team was the most penalized in the class last year, and like you said, just 1 penalty in 3 games this season. Where does that, how does that turnaround happen? Is there an emphasis in practice? And what sort of can you point to for that dramatic turn?
Well, that started all the way back in the spring that we talked about that because, yes, we were the most penalized team last year, and so all the different things about fundamentals or techniques or decision making, and I think sometimes when the fundamentals are where they need to be, the techniques are where they're supposed to be, with moving your feet and then making good decisions. That's really what it comes down to. There's a decision to be made if you see somebody's back, whether you're going to block or whether you're not. And so there's a lot of that decision making that I think the team has understood that those are things that can get you beat, of making poor decisions. And so I think we've been, at least lately, we've been pretty good at that.
Again, that's number 3 today.
Yeah. So we're dealing with upstairs every time this happens. We have to reset everything.
I'll correct that.
Yeah.
Brad, are we good?
No, you guys can keep going. Because they're on batteries, ours, there's a whole process. So you guys just keep going.
Hey, Coach. You have watched these guys deal with injuries, with adversity, with difficult losses, with heart rate. What do you feel, what do you think about this team right now and the characteristics that are defining it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We went, and we continue to have our share of injuries each week, but, the resolve of this team, I think, we went through some tough times and lost some heartbreakers and went into the 4th quarter, and those are always disappointing. But I said it before, even though we were disappointed at the time, we weren't discouraged. And, so it says a lot about the character of how their coaches are coaching them in their meeting rooms and on the field and trying to stay positive, trying to be poised and be demanding at the same time, and so I think there's a lot of times when you go through adversity like that, to overdo it and start yelling, screaming. There has to be some poise and continue to know that we love them, we care about them, they care about each other, and so I think they've done a nice job of that. We got a huge stretch ahead of us here, and this is a really difficult game we're going into. At UNLV, very good football team, and so we have a huge challenge on our hands this week.
Coach, speaking specifically about UNLV, in the first half against San Diego State, I think they had 6 punts and 2 fumbles. What have you seen from this team on film, and what kind of a game you're going to expect on Friday?
I see a very good team. I see an offense that is explosive. The quarterback, he was out for a little bit. Now he's back. He's very explosive. Has weapons around him. Very good offensive line. Big physical running back. They're very balanced on offense. They do a really good job of self-scouting because it's really hard to get a beat on them. The receiver who came back, and so they have weapons out there. So they can make a lot of plays. They can move the ball. I know Coach Arroyo is a great football coach, great mind, and so they'll be very explosive. And then on defense, their front four is I'm very impressed with what they do on defense, and so it's they're right there in the hunt as well, and so it means a lot to them, a lot to play for them as well this week. So it's going to be a battle.
You talk about some of the skill position guys they have. Are you happy that you don't have to face Charles Williams? What does a UNLV backfield without Charles Williams look like?
Well, they still have good backs. I think if I remember right, he definitely hurt us the years he was playing. He was a very good player and had a great career for them. But they still have guys. They have a big physical back and then a more of a little scat back that does a great job as well. So they're not hurting for personnel, that's for sure.
Kenwood Thompson is on their coaching staff, somebody who was on your staff when you were here the first time. I think you plucked him out of East Carolina. Did you know him beforehand? Like, was that one of those connections where you had heard of him? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, what type of a coach is he, and what did you see in him that you wanted him on your staff the first time?
No, he's a great coach. He was on my staff at Cal a long time ago. Then he was in East Carolina after that. But he came from San Jose originally, and he was a great member of our staff. Really knowledgeable coach, great with the kids, very good recruiter, really good guy, and he's a great friend. And I've known him for a long time. So I know he'll have his guys ready to play. They'll be sound and on point with what they're trying to get done.
To focus on one game at a time, Coach, after this last game on Saturday, you mentioned to Cam Worrell on the sideline that you referred to it as a chain of destiny, where you've got one link that you guys knocked off. I can't speak for anyone else in this room but myself, but I never heard that particular phrase before. Is that something that you have used before, or something that you just kind of heard and used it with the team on Saturday?
No, it's a quote from Sir Winston Churchill, and so I've talked to the team in previous years about the same type of thing, but we talked about that on Friday night. We continue to talk about it now because it really is true. It happens one link at a time, and so each week is important, critical that we stay focused on the job at hand, not just the week, but every single day. It doesn't happen on Saturday. It happens by what goes on today and throughout the week preparation.
Is there a particular reason, you mentioned earlier about having the younger guys and some of the unsung heroes get some playing time. Is there a particular reason why you left Jake in so long, why he was still playing late into that game on Saturday?
He just played the third quarter, took him out in the fourth quarter. The plan was to play the end of the third quarter, but we were down inside we're in the red zone, and it went into the fourth quarter, so he just finished that drive, and that was it. The plan was to play through the third quarter and then be done. So just happened to go a little bit over because the quarter changed at that point.
With where you guys are in the season right now and how many injuries that you've dealt with, do you still try to be as physical at practice each week? I mean, are there ways to get maybe smarter at practice without hitting 100%, knowing how frail you might be in certain positions?
Yeah, we started that actually a couple weeks ago to try to limit the time that we're on the field. We still get to actually get more plays, but we do control the tempo. But we're on the field less amount of time. At this time of the year, you try to cut back a little bit, and then we try to take away the pounding on them. This week, obviously, being a short week, it'll be critical that we're fresh when we get to the game, and so there'll be some adjustments throughout the week here as well.
So with targeting election days, that's something you discussed with the team at all, address different local issues on the ballot, or
be numerous things. There's a couple periods that we'll take out, probably cut out a little bit of the individual time, make it more team time. And then as far as the dress is concerned, it's gonna be raining tomorrow, so we're typically on the grass on Tuesday, we'll need to go to the stadium tomorrow. And then the dress, maybe going from full pads to just shells or wear spider pads or whatever. But early on Tuesday is gonna be normal, like maybe a couple periods less. Wednesday will be modified as well. And then Thursday will definitely be modified because that's the day before the game, so we won't do what we normally do on Thursday. So we will kind of put a Thursday and Friday together, because we're traveling right after practice that day.
Were there any new injuries on Saturday that you now have one less day to recover with?
No, nothing of significance. Typically on a Sunday, we get the injury report late in the afternoon, and there's always bumps and bruises and guys getting MRIs or X-rays or stuff throughout the day. And then we'll find out again this afternoon of, where those are really, but nothing of significance, nothing like the week before where we lost 3 players, we lost 3 starters the week before the season-ending injuries, and all had surgeries. So it was asked before about the injury, the injuries just keep mounting. But thankfully, early in the year, we had a lot of injuries. A lot of young guys got an opportunity to play, and you start to see that their experience now is taking over a little bit. They're a little bit more comfortable with the game. But it's each week it just seems like we never come out of a game unscathed. But that's football. That's the way it is. Everybody knows.
And last question for me, are you guys excited about playing inside an NFL stadium for the first time this season?
Haven't even really talked about that. We will, on Thursday when we go there, we will go to the stadium and do a walkthrough and kind of get all that out of our system. We always go to the stadium the day before just to make sure if there's anything they want to take pictures, they want to do any of that, they're accustomed and they're comfortable with the surroundings of the locker room and the field and how to get on the field and do all that. So game day, they're completely clear of any confusion or what to do. So we'll get a good look at it when we get there on Thursday and give them a good amount of time to kind of look around. I'm sure it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see it. I've never seen it.
Coach, you said the 3 starters out for the year. Just to confirm, that's Bull, Watson, and Lux.
Bull, Lux, and Trey Watson.
And is there any update on Elijah Gates as well?
No, he's another one that's kind of his isn't season ending, but that's a week-to-week, day-to-day type thing. And so he's another one through rehab this week. We'll see where he's at, and amongst a couple other guys on the team. But we'll have to see where he is tomorrow when it's practice time.
And speaking of Bull's absence, what was the assessment of Brandon Nelson coming back and starting in his place?
Yeah, Brandon did a nice job. He did a really nice job, and he played the whole game. He went from right tackle to left tackle, so he played the entire game. So everyone can always improve, but I was proud of the way he went in there and he competed. And we have our hands full this week. Their 2 defensive ends are excellent players.
Yeah, played since early September. Just what's the journey back been like for him too?
The what?
For Nelson to come back from injury as well?
Yeah, he had and so he hasn't played in quite a while. But started practicing again a couple weeks ago. It was a thought that we may redshirt him, and but then all of a sudden Fullwood was down with an ankle and thought that Bull went out, and so the redshirt thing kind of went out the window at that point. All along it was, okay, we'll hold you out and redshirt you if it matches up, but if we get in a situation that the team needs you to help down the stretch to compete, then probably should have won the game. Last week against San Diego State, they just had some turnovers in the red zone. But they moved the ball, really well against San Diego State, which we know is not easy to do. All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Offensive player of the week.
Oh,
How'd that
thanks.
feel Saturday night?
It was good. After watching the tape, I was actually pretty critical of myself. I thought I could have done a few things better. Just going through my reads, I thought I, early did a good job of not trying to be greedy, but there was a couple situations where I think I tried to push the ball down the field, and on the touchdown to Eric Brooks, I changed the play and then was trying to check to a post to Pope and try to get the ball down the field, but kind of skipped over a couple progressions that I thought I could have got the ball to other guys, and then obviously Eric made a really good play, and I kind of just forced the ball. So, against a really good team, that's not going to slide. So I think I got to learn from that, and obviously the next 3 weeks are big for us, and this week's the big one. So gotta have a great week of prep and prepare at a high level.
So, Pat made a comment on our broadcast after you had a couple elusive moments there in the backfield where you could have been sacked, but you spun away, and then we saw you get hit late out of bounds on that ankle, and you still pop up and go out there. That he said there shouldn't be any concerns about, Jake's health and his physical ability. How are you feeling? How good does your right ankle feel, and what's it like to be out there making those kind of plays?
Yeah, no, it was obviously great to be able to go out there and move around and have no pain doing it. The ankle, I got another scan last week and about 96-97%, which was a week ago, so I'm feeling about 100% now. On the ankle close to it, I got to still wear the brace just to protect myself, but as far as pain or anything, I don't feel any pain, and I'm moving around and trying to do the best I can with a pretty heavy little brace on my ankle. So eventually in the next week or two, I want to try to take that off and not wear that anymore, but they might force me to keep it on. So definitely got to protect myself, and that was the whole thing coming back. If I could move around and be well enough to move and help the team, then I was going to be out there, and I think we've done that the last couple weeks.
Jake, real quick on the hoodie that you were wearing during the game, that's something that wide receivers typically wear. What was the choice to put that on?
Well, I just wanted to make sure there was a lot of energy coming into the game, and I thought after talking with some of the guys, they were going to wear this. They call it the shiesty or whatever. I didn't know what it was called. I had an idea that some guys would wear it, for some energy, for some swag, and I just went up to the equipment guys and said, "Give me a shiesty. I'm throwing one on for the game," and got the guys fired up, and we came out hot and we executed, and I might throw one on next weekend too. We'll see what happens.
There's been a couple of moments during the season where the TV broadcast has kind of lost the play with your pump fakes, and I can speak on the sideline. I lost a couple of pump fakes. Just how much of a weapon is that, and are there concerns maybe when you kind of pump it like that?
Well, when I pumped it on the one to Pope, I thought he was going to break in, and that was another thing I was watching on tape. I need to see the alignment pre-snap and have a better idea of him breaking out, and I should have seen that right away. But I kind of clutched it, and that was one of them. I wish I would have just had an idea pre-snap and gotten the ball to him faster. But the pump fakes. I don't think I have small hands, so I can grip onto the ball pretty good, but it's just kind of something that I do when I react and kind of do when I'm out there playing on the fly.
Jake, you just mentioned when it comes to your ankle that it's not so much pain management now that you're fully healthy. Was it the other way last week against San Diego State? Were you a little bit tender, maybe hesitant when you were out there a little bit?
Yeah, there was some where I wasn't fully confident, I guess you could say. I was having some hard times pushing off my back foot and really rotating, so I felt like I was throwing a lot with my arm and trying to create power with my front leg. And there was obviously some moments after that one where I was really, really sore in my ankle, more on the ankle sprain side, on the high ankle sprain part. So, you got to get over that, and we did a lot of rehab the last week and going into this week. And it feels good now. The swelling's all down, and I'm walking without a brace or anything, so it feels good.
So what would open up for you, for Fresno State in the passing game, if you have no shackles on you? If you're 100%, do what you normally do.
I think we're still evaluating what gives us the best opportunity to be successful throwing the ball down the field, and if that's being an empty, if that's being an 11, being in 12, being in 0 personnel. I think there's a lot of different things that we can do and hurt a lot of people in different ways. So we're gonna have to watch the tape. I watched a little bit of UNLV last night, and they're a really good defense. They do a lot of really good things. Change the picture late on the quarterbacks, and I think it's probably going to be one of the best defenses we've seen, or that I've seen since I've been back. So I got to do a really good job this week of preparation, and those guys are going to bring it.
Paul congratulated you on being the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week. Does that award mean anything to you?
I mean, it's nice and everything, but I try to go out and execute at a high level every week, and it's nice to get some recognition from the conference, and I appreciate that. But obviously, I got a lot of guys making plays for me, and a lot of dudes going out there every day, working their tail off, so I can try to perform on Saturdays. And I thought last Saturday was a complete team performance, and I told the guys that pregame. I think we're due for a complete, performance from our group, and offense, defense, and special teams definitely stepped up on Saturday.
It was obviously a different feeling for you being on the sideline at the end of that game, where obviously for the previous 4 games before the San Diego State game, when you were out, you wanted to be on the field. What's it like for you to see some guys who don't normally get a lot of playing time get that playing time and cheering for them and be their biggest fans on the sideline?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Obviously, I remember when I was that age, when I was a younger guy, and trying to work to get an opportunity to get on the field, and you don't take those moments for granted. Those guys, work as hard as I do, and they go out there, and some of those guys are on the scout team, and give us a really good look during the week. So I was fired up for them to have an opportunity to get out there and play and enjoy the moment, and it's what it's all about, man. Just enjoying the moment and just being in that stadium. I only got one more time being in there, so I'm trying to enjoy every moment I can.
Jake, obviously you missed some time before coming back the last game, but is there still stuff that you're trying to get comfortable with, returning, or anything that you still got to get back in your groove a little bit more in that you had when you were consistently starting?
I think I'm doing a decent job so far being back. I think there's obviously little things that I'm nitpicky on in my game that I can continue to improve on. I think there's always things you can get better at, and I go and watch the tape and analyze myself. I throw the ball 30, 40 times a game. There's going to be a couple times that you look at the tape and say, oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. So you go back and you look and you try to perfect your craft and be as perfect as possible, but you got to understand that no one's going to be perfect, and I think that's what drives me the most, is to want to be perfect and want to do everything I can to be as good as possible for the team.
Good morning, Jake.
How's it going?
Yeah, high praise for this UNLV defense. I know it took a second half comeback to beat them last year. What do they do well, and how similar are they to last year?
Well, they have a different defensive coordinator than they did last year, and I just think, from head to toe, after just watching them initially, a couple games, they're a lot more, I would say, diverse scheme-wise in their coverages, and different fire zones, different shells, and rotating late and trying to disguise the best they can. And last year they were man and cover 3, different cover 3 variations, and this year they're doing a lot of different things. So I think they're similar to Boise in a lot of ways. They're a match team, and I'm sure they're going to try to change the picture late on me, do it different pressures, and do everything they can to try to make us uncomfortable. But I think you just got to stay with your progressions and stay calm and let the game come to you.
I know this is the second time you faced them in that Roomba, the Legion Stadium.
Big deal. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, it's just
you don't care about playing in NFL Stadium?
No. It's a field 100 yards long. You got to score points. You got to execute, and it's one thing I told those guys in the weight room yesterday before the lift started. You can't go in there all shell shocked. You're playing in the Raider Stadium. Who cares? I mean, it's a football field, and you got to go get the job done. You got to get a win, and you got to go play a really good football team. So the only thing that gets that done is preparing really hard during the week and staying 100% focused on the task at hand.
Jake, you mentioned some of your personal support team you have. Just what is different about the short week? Is there anything that you're not able to get to or gets reduced?
No, I kind of just sped up my process last night. I watched extra tape last night and kind of got a head start on UNLV and got my some of my my maintenance stuff this morning before this, and got it started. And I'll go back, meet with some people tonight on the phone, talk to John tonight, go over last week's game real quick, and then move on and come up here later, talk to Kirby, go over what we got got going on normal downs and red zone, and go from there. Everything's as is.
Did Brooks's touchdown get a few more replays yesterday?
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. No, it was great concentration by him. I actually thought he was going to push vertical and come back down his stem, but then I noticed kind of once he got even with the safety there, he was just going to keep going. So I just kind of wanted to try to give him a chance because the safety's back was turned to me and he was pushing vertical. So I was just like, if I can give him a chance down the field, and the guy's not really going to turn around if Eric's running full speed. So I kind of just gave him a chance, and the guy actually made a pretty good play, getting his hand on it late, and didn't quite get enough of it though. So it was good.
All right, thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
How many times did you watch him getting up and doing that?
Oh, that was funny. That was funny.